Hi everyone, Jerry Dulac along with Ray Fittipaldo. Day 4 on the field, day 5 for training camp here at St. Vincent College. And Ray, the temperature is amping up. A hot one today, almost 91 degrees. And we had a hot one yesterday. Fortunately, I wasn't here for that. It was getting a little toasty out there. They get an off day tomorrow though.
And then starting on Tuesday, they'll put the pads on. I know Mike Tomlin is hoping it's as hot. That's really going to be a test for a lot of these players. It's one thing to do this in helmets and shorts, it's quite another to add that extra poundage.
Yeah, while we want to see them in pads and the fans want to see them in pads, people who really want to see them in pads are the coaches. That's how they evaluate these players. They use OTAs and even these first couple days of the acclimation period to see who is retaining what out of the playbook.
Right.
And then, of course, now they're going to find out, as Russell Wilson was saying the other day, who the men are who really want to play this game for a long period of time.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Jerry, we got to see it today. Broderick Jones went down with us. We think a minor injury the first snap of 7 shots.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was the elbow or his wrist.
Yeah, and then Troy Fautanu comes in. Justin Fields throws a touchdown pass, but Fautanu really stymied TJ Watt at the line of scrimmage. I focused on Fautanu throughout practice today. His pass protection, his technique is really, really good. I've said it from the beginning. I think he's going to be a starter sooner rather than later. Obviously, it's not going to happen this week or next, but it's going to happen pretty soon.
Yeah, it's going to be curious to see how they do that, Ray, because obviously they'd like to move Broderick Jones to left tackle, have Fautanu play right tackle, but as long as Dan Moore, I'm just curious to see when they're going to pick that moment, as they did last year, when they slid Broderick Jones into right tackle. All of a sudden they took Chukwuefor out of there, used some reasoning like, he was being disciplined, but see what they're going to come up with this year.
Yeah, I mean, week 7 last year, I think the expectation is, especially with Fautanu's experience in college, 30 career starts, multi-year starter, much different for Jones last year. So we'll see how that plays out, but I was very impressed with Fautanu when he got to run with the ones today.
And what impressed me too about Broderick Jones is you're seeing, he wanted to go back in there and he did.
Yeah.
And I saw him along the sidelines with Darnell Washington. You can see he's taken for a second-year guy a more active role, a more vocal role in what he expects of the guys, including himself.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but he's one of the younger guys on the line, but with Mason McCormick, Zach Frazier, Troy Fautanu, he's actually, one of the veterans. He's going to impart his wisdom to the guys. Obviously, Isaac Seumalo and James Daniels are the veteran leaders of this group, but it's nice to see Jones sort of, take that next step in his development.
Speaking of sliding guys into the starting lineup, rookies, be curious to see how long it is before Zach Frazier goes in with the first team at center. Right now, Nate Herbig has been assuming that role. We heard Omar Khan all during the offseason talk about when people said they don't have a center, they said, look, we got Nate Herbig. And so he's been handling the bulk of that, but I have to believe in some amount of time, Zach Frazier is going to take that job.
Yeah, you would think Dan Moore and both Nate Herbig will get that first start against the Texans in their first preseason games a couple of weeks from now. Depending on how they do there and depending on how the rookies are doing, I think you can maybe see something shortly after that. But the offensive line, both tackle and center, it's going to be closely watched next week when they put the pads on.
Even though I think that Dan Moore is considered at least the player that Chukwuefor was, and maybe a little elevated beyond in terms of their opinion, I actually think Troy Fautanu will go into the starting lineup sooner than Broderick Jones did. Again, I'm just curious to see what the reasoning is going to be. Of course, an injury could dictate that.
And listen, Broderick Jones is that big, rangy, athletic guy. He said it the first week of camp. It took him a little bit of time to sort of get his feet underneath him. When you watch Fautanu out here, he is so polished for a rookie. He is 24 years old, so he's in a different boat than a lot of rookies. But he is very polished with his technique and his fundamentals, and I agree with you. I think it's going to be sooner rather than later there.
Ray, speaking of second-year guys who they're looking to take big jumps and expect big things from, Keanu Benton, their second-round pick last year, I think he was 49th overall. We saw what he did last year as a rookie. When Mike Tomlin was asked what he expects of him in the opening day of training camp, when he was asked about it, he said big things, and then he repeated big things. And this guy, he's come to camp 15 pounds lighter. He weighs 300 pounds. Ironically, he says he puts weight on during the season, but he's 10 to 15 pounds lighter than last season. I think, when he was weighed to combine, he was 309. He's now 300. But you can just see the difference in this guy. We saw it last year. They expect big things from this guy. This guy is going to be the future of their defensive line. Cam Hayward's 35. Larry Ogunjobi fights injuries his entire career.
Yep.
But they really like Keanu Benton. You see him out on the practice field. I'm curious. They expect that big leap from year 1 to year 2, something they didn't get from DeMarvin Leal.
Yeah, and I think it was either Terrell Austin or Mike Tomlin said this in the spring as well. They were posed the same question, and they said, we expect him to be dominant. So that just tells you, like you said, that tells you the expectations that there are in the building for him. You know, the next step for him, Gerry, is pass rush. You know, I think he had 1 sack as a rookie. I would see him get past the line, get past the offensive lineman and maybe not finish last year. This year he's got to finish, and I think if he can, you know, get up to 5-6 sacks, it's going to help that defensive line a lot.
Yeah, and 2 things, Ray. That's not what he was known for in college, but he ended up with 9 quarterback hits and I think 8 pressures, second most among the defensive linemen. You know, when you look, I think he was the 5th interior lineman drafted. But I was talking with Isaac Ciamullo the other day about him, and he said he's very slippery on those pass rush moves. He said he has movements that you don't expect from a big guy, and he says it's awesome to see. And that's why you know, when your teammates see it and expect that from you, that's when you know the guy's top.
Yeah, he came out of the Big Ten. Big Ten is known for producing really good defensive linemen. The Steelers have another this year, 6th-round pick, Logan Lee, out of Iowa, so we'll see if they could strike gold once again. We'll see what Lee can do this year as well.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch him, Ray, and you know, I'll watch him more once they put the pads on. But you know, I've been focusing more on the guys who are coming back. But there have been a couple guys who have stood out, including Beanie Bishop. They've used a lot, the kid from West Virginia.
Yeah, right now he's their starting slot corner. We'll see what happens down the road. But you know what the coaches do with these first couple of weeks of training camp, it's big time evaluation for some of the young guys like that. You know, guys who aren't established. They know what the veterans like Cam Sutton can do. They want to find out about Beanie Bishop now, and you know, he'll probably stay in there with the ones for 1 more week with when they put the pads on. We'll see what happens after that, but he's getting the first shot there with the first unit.
Well, that's the thing about Cam Sutton. He's suspended for the first 8 games of the year for violating the league's personal conduct policy. What the Steelers' feeling is, you know what, that's okay. We need him for the second half of the season, and that's exactly what they're looking for Cam Sutton when he's eligible to return.
And Beanie Bishop can run too. You know, I think a lot of the speculation out there once we found out about Cam Sutton's suspension was, bring back Patrick Peterson. One of the reasons they haven't brought back Peterson just yet is because he doesn't have the wheels that he used to earlier in his career. So I still think he's a fallback option, but they need guys who can run. They need guys in the secondary that are athletic, and you know, like I said, we'll see if Bishop is that guy.
Yeah, guys like that, Ray, they wait almost till most of training camp's over. They see where they are and decide, okay, we got to wait this, we need to improve. That's going to do it for today. The Steelers are off tomorrow. They'll be back Tuesday. That's a morning practice, 10:30, and they're putting the pads on Tuesday morning. Everybody will be excited, including Ray Fittipaldo. For Ray, I'm Gerry Dulac. You're watching Post-Gazette.com.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.